Hello and welcome to another tech article. In today's article, I want to talk about a new extension for MainWP that I've been working on. It's a little different from my other MainWP extensions, which have all been around specific functionality within MainWP. And in particular, it's about not having to make extensions anymore. Unless they require a specific extension. What I've tried with Sync is to make the beginnings of a framework, and I think the framework is probably the easiest way to discuss to describe Sync. So, a few weeks ago, I posted a suggestion and then a few topic updates in the main WP main group, and that was around the possibility of what this extension does. And that was to bring in some functionality that makes working with some of the core filters and some making new filters that don't currently exist, to allow us to do things easier within main WP. And it started off for me as a way to get any data I wanted into pro reports, because there's data that, although I don't have clients, I have a fair few websites of my own, and there's data. Some of those sites I never log into because of main WP, and there's data I want from those sites that I can't get without going to the site, and I wanted to get around that, and that's what really started my idea. Is there a universal way that we can do this? And it's sort of expanded. The more I've done, the more I've expanded on it, and I now have some bigger ideas about where I'd want to be with it and where I want to get it. But I'm okay to pre-release it now. I've already written a few additions for it, and I'll talk about those later and why I call them recipes rather than extensions or plugins. And the reason I use recipes is because that's what they are really. We're throwing the filters and the stuff together, the ingredients to make our recipe. So I'm going to go to the new repo, and it's called Dashboard Sync for MainWP. There is a child sync plugin and a dashboard sync plugin. The dashboard sync plugin obviously has to be on your MainWP dashboard. The child has to be on your child sites. Now, in an ideal world for me, I can get this, or maybe even people can help me get this to a position where the point where it can be submitted to MainWP, and maybe we can get these filters added in core and this functionality added in core, and then you won't need these plugins anymore, and then you just need to generate your recipes. And the reason for that is because it can be difficult to build an extension because you've got to build out all of the components to it and get it all to work and to follow the main WP way. But you might not want to do that for a few pro report tokens or a small admin menu, site menu. And that's why I've been building this. And actually, it does some already. In my opinion, it's got some relatively good functions. For example, universal report pro report tokens. If you send data from your child site using this sync plugin, they will automatically become a pro report token when they're synced, and that's all data you send, no matter how much of it there is, no matter how many times you reference it, no matter how many variables there are. They will all become a token automatically. You don't have to do anything on your dashboard. If it syncs from your child site and goes into the main WP options table via this plugin, it automatically becomes a pro report token. And that is what I originally designed it to do. I originally designed it to get some flowmattic data, and ideally I wanted some WP Armour data in my pro reports. Well, now I can do that. And actually, that's how all of my extensions started. I wanted to get something into a pro report, and that's what's created them. And it does that relatively well, and I had that really early on actually. And then I thought to myself, well, wait a minute, I've now got the data in my child sites. I really would like to be able to see it directly in the child site live. So if I go to this is a demo main WP dashboard site, and this is a demo child site. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to WP code box. I'm going to disable all of my snippets because I don't want them to show up. And so there's now none. So I'm just on the base plugins. So if I go to MainWP now, and if I go to extensions, I can show you sync. So this is sync, and sync is a new extension, and it has sets of options in its extension options page. One is to set a custom prefix. About custom prefixes, they have to be the same on your dashboard and all of your trial sites, but they allow you to, because I made this code reusable, there is the likeliness that others are going to use it, and custom sync, the custom prefix allows you to separate that usage. They could have their own custom prefix, still hook into the same items, extract it out, etc., how they wanted. It's just that it just allows you to separate your data. You know it's yours. It also makes, I've added a new option for wildcard searching the MainWP options table, and having a custom prefix allows you to search that data much easier. So currently there's nothing enabled to disable in terms of pages here. And if we go to our child site just has a new sync plugin installed. And on here, I have a few snippets running. And and we'll just talk you through some of these. So this one, just all this does is puts this prefix up. I don't actually need it anymore. It was for early testing. If I disable it and then refresh the page, you'll see this disappears. So we don't need that anymore. And I've got 3 snippets here, 3 child snippets, which is flowmattic, WP Armour, and all users by role HTML. And these are the 3 recipes that are already on GitHub. So flowmattic takes some flowmattic variables from your flowmattic install and allows you to send them as tokens, and that's all it does on the child site. This is the totality of the code that allows you to get those pro report tokens. You send this data to your MainWP dashboard, and this data is automatically turned into tokens. And those tokens are just whatever you put in this custom data plus your custom prefix. So in my case, 1234 underscore RUP underscore MainWP underscore flowmattic underscore workflows underscore count. And that's it. This automatically takes this data, turns it into a set of data to send to your dashboard, which when your dashboard receives it, it recognizes it as being used as part of this filter, which uses a inbuilt filter. It's built up on top of an inbuilt MainWP filter, and then it receives that data and automatically compiles it into pro report tokens. Nothing else needs to be done. Once you run this snippet on your site, it automatically is ingested into your dashboard. They are automatically turned into tokens. You can just use them in your report. You don't have to add anything else other than the dashboard sync plugin to your dashboard. And the same goes for WP Armour. It does the same. It grabs data, loops through them, and sends that data to your dashboard. And actually, this is the entirety of that does this. This is a helper function to get dates, to get the actual data out. This here is the entire of it that sends the data. Basically, it checks that WP Armour is installed. It gets the options from the database and then begins to loop through them, adding them to a custom data record. And then that sends that to your dashboard. And all user roles does almost exactly the same. This function pre-builds a HTML table full of your data from your user database, and then sorts them out by role, ready to just send this HTML. It sends this whole HTML as a single data source. In my case, 1234 underscore, and then this, which you just put 123 underscore under that in your pro report, and it will automatically output the HTML. There is nothing to add to the dashboard for this either. Now, on the dashboard sites, you saw that I disabled some snippets that go with Flowmattic and WP Armour, and they aren't needed for pro reports. They work regardless. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually, that those snippets are still disabled, I'm going to go to pro reports, and I'm going to run a test and show you the data that is already there. I will sync it before I run it in case I've cleared the database. And we will view child only, and we'll preview the report. And the dates are irrelevant here because this is static data. And you'll see it generates an example pro report that I've written. So here are our custom data from our child site. So we've got 4 workflows, 34 integrations, 3 variables. And if we went to flowmattic, and I won't do this for WP Armour, but if we go to flowmattic, you'll see that we got 34, 3, and 4, and the rest are zeros. And that they are individual tokens available to us. Then we got our WP Armour data. This block 0 today. This is all simulated data anyway. I added this directly to the database. I wrote all the zeros because this is a dummy website. There's nothing to send. All-time blocks this month, this week, and today is live. And then we've got our all users by role. And now currently there are no recipes running on this site. This is all done automatically from those. The only code that is needed to send that data is what's in these snippets. So you don't need any more than what is in this one, for example, to send that data for WP Armour. Now, there are snippets on this site, and there are snippets as part of this recipe for the dashboard. And what they do is a little different. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open up WP Admin. And I'm going to go to WP Codebox, and I'm going to turn all 3 of them on in here, but they will all be turned on, but we're going to turn them off in the extension. So it was that one as well. And it was, I don't need to do one for all users, so I'm only going to turn on 2 actually, WP Armour and original flowmattic. Now I'm not turning on this one because this one's a work in progress. So these are our 2 recipes. They are now live. And this has been designed to work with snippets because the core that needs to load beforehand loads from the plugins, and that's the goal here, to build a reusable, expandable, efficient framework that you can use to make recipes. So there's our recipes. They are now launched and they are done. I'm going to head back to our MainWP dashboard, and I'm going to go back to extensions, and we're going to go to dashboard sync. And I'm going to, you see here they're both disabled. So I'm just going to enable, to begin with, just flowmattic and save those settings. And now flowmattic is activated. So that now means that when we go to sites, and you'll see that there's not one here when we get here for WP Armour, you'll see there's a new option here for flowmattic. And if we go and open it, you'll see that data that we just put in that report is now available to us within our dashboard. So we can now just come to this child site page and see it. Now, if you want a page, you're going to have a dashboard companion to go with your sent tokens. And the reason for that is because you're going to need to stylize it, and you're going to need to create the HTML that actually displays this. And we'll see that in the dashboard side of the snippet of the recipe. So if we go to the flowmattic recipe in the dashboard, you'll see we're adding a new page using a new filter that we've added. So that's a RUP main WP custom admin page, and that's all you need to do to add an admin page. The rest is done for you. So it automatically adds the header, it automatically adds the footer, it automatically builds the container for you. So you're just telling it what to do, and then you need to build your render page. And this is just a page, and in this case, is flowmattic activated? If not, you'll get a notification. It pulls your custom prefix from the database. It gets the website ID from the URL. So when you're viewing a site, your ID is actually in the URL, and it just gets it. So this is site 1, so it's pulling site 1. It then continues to check from MainWP get options for a if that's a 1 or 0, and then it displays this. Then we've got a lot of style sheets to give it the stylization that you've got on the page. So if we go back to the page, all of this, all of the boxes, the padding, the bold, it's all obviously style sheets. Then we create our HTML. So we've got our title section. Then we've got our placeholders that again uses the same filter of get site options. And I will talk, when I get to WP Armour, I will talk you through a new filter that I've added that does exactly the same but allows wildcard search. And these are the stats that we're showing, and it's just pulling them out for this website with our custom prefix and what we know them to be. And that's how that works. And then it just starts outputting our data, and it basically is a for each in the above, which means if I want to add say they add an additional statistic to Flowmattic, it's just one line to add, and it will automatically send the item here. It's one line to add to the dashboard, the child site, and whatever you need to get the data out, because not all of them are straight options. Sometimes you have to calculate them, and you see that in the child version of the Flowmattic extract. You'll see that I'm doing stuff here to get them by extracting from databases, or adding stuff up, or taking it away, or doing all sorts of stuff to get those actual stats out of the database. And that's how the Flowmattic menu is made. And it's really, there's very little here. There's this little bit of code here to get your menu. You've got a lot of stylization. You've got 3 or 4 lines of variables to grab, a little bit of PHP down here to run your statements, but most of it's HTML. And that's the case with these admin pages. They're mostly HTML. And I'm not a front end, I'm not a developer full stop, but front end is not my friend. So if we now look at the equivalent dashboard snippet for WP Armour, and what I'll do is I'll go back to our page and I will just enable our WP Armour page. And then if we go back to site and then look at the same site, we will see that it's here. We've got WP Armour Stats now, and there's a nice little table of our WP Armour Stats. Now this one's slightly different, both on the child site and the dashboard site. So on a child site, we're actually looping through the data, because the way WP Armour works is originally these ones here are just to begin with for the all time, and that's all we're displaying. That's because I've got no form plugins that are compatible. I've got no WP login stats. I haven't even got Pro installed, actually, I don't think, on here. I think I'm using the basic version. I can confirm that by going to the dashboard. Yeah, so I've not even got Pro installed on here. So this is using this isn't even using extended. This is using the bog standard WordPress repo version of WP Armour to send this data. But in the Pro version, they split out the statistics in here with a lot more data available to you, like WP login, fluent forms, etc., etc., etc. And so I've designed it and tested it as best as I can to be as functionally able to cope with that as possible. Now, obviously, I can't cover every variable, and so it might need some code adjustment, but it's dynamic. It pulls the sources out and then sends an individual source data to the dashboard for those statistics. And the reason we can do that is because it is all dynamic. And I think that's what I wanted here. I wanted that dynamic ability. I wanted to not have to tell the dashboard what I was going to send it. I wanted to be able to send it wherever I liked, and the dashboard to be smart enough to take it and turn it into a Pro report token. And equally, so that I can pull it out in a page. And that's what it does. So it takes that data, and as I say, this function here is about dates. So if we go to the MainWP site, again, we had a page using our new filter. And again, we are just rendering a page. And in this page, we do the same again. We get the website ID, we get the custom prefix, we build our container, we add our style sheets. Now this uses our new wildcard filter, which is new. It doesn't exist in MainWP. I could not get it to pull out wildcard data, so I wrote a version that allowed me to pull out wildcard data. Why do I want to pull out wildcard data? Because I just told you I don't know what WP Armour is going to send in advance, because it depends what plugins you've got installed. So now it will automatically look for the custom prefix plus RUP WP Armour, and then pull all those together and dynamically output them as part of our HTML. And that's why this one's a bit longer. And then it'll put them into a table and populate the rows and issue it out and add the footer. So that's why you get this. So then you get your rows and your footer and your header. And I can do that because I don't need to know what is coming in the beginning. All I need to know is that I know it's what it's going to be called to begin with, and run it through the wildcard. And that is that dynamic ability is what I wanted here. It's that reusability and that expandability is exactly what Sync is about. And that if you don't want the admin page, so we've got the admin page here. You saw me how easy it is to turn them on and off. You can. I would suggest personally, if you're going to upload them to your client site, you would automatically add the item to your dashboard site and then turn it on and off if you didn't want it. Because I'm also mindful that you don't want 400 tabs down here. But I wanted to give you the option to be able to do that. And actually, I thought maybe you only want to look at WP Armour Stats every so often and you don't need them on all the time. Why shouldn't you just have a turn them on, turn them off function? Now, I can do that in WP Codebox because I use WP Codebox. But the reason I wanted to use snippets was because of the snippet manager that comes with MainWP. This should all work with a snippet manager. And that's why I wanted to use snippets. I wanted you to be able to send data to your child sites without having to log into your child sites and upload your child recipes. And you should be able to do that now. It should all be able to be synced to your child sites from your dashboard, and then you're introducing your new functionality. As I say, in an ideal world, the potential for this will be seen, and MainWP will allow it to be integrated into the core, and then you won't need the plugins. That actually in the ideal world, I'd love to see them grab this and run with it, and I'd love to see the community produce recipes using it, because that's the idea of this. It's a framework that allows you to quickly, and it is quick, develop your own integrations for either pro reports or as wider child pages. Now, if you don't need full settings pages for your sites or your extensions, so if you don't need extension options like I've got here, you don't need a full extension. A recipe is enough. If you don't need these, then actually a recipe should be enough, and a recipe allows you to do that. So why recipe over snippets? I'm not sure if I've already said this. It's because I consider the bits that we put into it ingredients. We are picking and choosing our filters and our hooks, and we are building on that framework, and subsequently they're ingredients that build our recipe. And as they're not full extensions, we can't call them extensions, and as they're not plugins, we can't call them plugins. And recipe just seemed like the best term for me. I didn't want to use apps because they're not apps, and I suspect apps will be what eventually extensions might become, actually. But I've built it with an idea of it being as reusable and expandable as possible. And by that, I mean nothing will go into sync, child sync or dashboard sync that isn't reusable. If we're only using it for one integration, then it should be in the recipe, not within the plugins. And that's the overall ethos here, that all of the hard work is done by the plugin. You're just giving it some HTML code, a few variables, and a little bit of PHP, and then you produce what I've produced here. You saw how very little code is needed, for example, to add that all user role HTML to your pro reports using this. It's very little, and that is a direct request, that one, from the let me find it, direct request from the feature request on MainWP. I had a flick through and trying to find one to write a recipe for, to be honest, and I found this one, and that's what I did. I took a screenshot, then worked out how I was going to do it in my recipe, and then produced what it would produce in the report, and that is exactly how it works. I wanted this. I wanted this. This is how I achieved it using the framework, and this is what it produced. So I'm hoping, because there was a little bit of confusion from my update videos, because I've been doing update bubbles on this project since I conceived it, because some people seem interested. I hope people are interested. I hope it will gain some traction. But I hope this explains a little bit more in detail about how it works, why I think it's so important that we have something like this, and how usable it can actually be. Yeah, I will do a couple of short follow-up bubbles probably, rather than YouTube. Actually, I might do them on YouTube and just not push them out and tell you that I've posted them, on how to just load some of these. But they are really as simple as that. They really are just snippets. So you turn this one off, and it will no longer send the data. So if I go to the dashboard as an example, we just turned off there all user by role HTML. If I go to MainWP, and then I've put an option in here that's in the base plugin to clean up the data. So this will remove all data that from this plugin from your database. So I've just done that now, and I'm going to go to MainWP. I'm going to go to client notes, and I'm not going to sync. So sorry, pro reports, and I'm not going to sync. So I'm just going to preview the report. So there should be nothing in the database now, and you see they're all just codes. But now if I sync the data back in from the child sites, the one I've turned off will still not be working. That is all the code that runs it. There is no more code except in the. Let me go back out to the reports and rerun this report. Now I've synced. That's better. So all of the other data that is still being synced is there, but because I turned that recipe off on the child site, it no longer sends the data, so there's nothing to display. And that is why this has been built. That is exactly the reason why this has been built. If I'm going to quickly edit this on off screen, and I'm going to add a new variable in, and don't know what I'm going to call it yet, because I'm not going to do it. In fact, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll get a random generator, and I'll show you. So I didn't plan on doing this. This is totally ad lib. So I'm going to open that template file, and we will do this live. Hopefully I don't screw it up. So I want to go to HTTP docs, content, uploads, MainWP, report templates, test, view, edit. I'll tell you what I'll use. I'll use a Bitwarden and password generation. So this is going to be our token. And I'm going to pull this out of here, and I'm going to pull it over here, and I'm going to add it into right underneath this one here. I'm going to add a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 underscore this. And I'm going to push save. And that's all I'm doing on the dashboard site, is adding it to my report. I'm going to do nothing else on the dashboard except come out of here and go to the base pro reports, so that when we come back in, it should pull the new data. And then I'm going to go over to this one here, and on the child site, this one here, I'm going to re-enable it, and then I'm going to grab this one here, and I'm going to dump that word in here. I'm going to grab this line here. I'm going to dump that. I'm going to grab this. I'm going to put that in there. And I'm going to change this to, hopefully this works. I'm going to change those speech marks. And that should be it. Hopefully that doesn't crash the site, because that would be embarrassing. I will now go here, sync this. I've done nothing on the dashboard except for editing that. Oh, did I sync it back? Let's just save it, and hopefully I did. We'll find out in a second, won't we? If I have to redo it, I have to redo it. And I'm going to I've got to go back out, actually sync the data. And I'm going to preview that report. Go back here, doesn't matter which one it is, because they'll both use test, and I'm going to use it for the child one site, because that's the one we've just modified, and with all the luck in the world, hopefully this works is in our report. And as I said, I did nothing on the admin site, on the dashboard, to do that, and that's just one. I mean, I could literally send 1,000 of them, and they would all be there, and they would all automatically be a pro report token, And if I wanted that into an admin page, so if I wanted to add that into, and this is where it gets complicated, but if I wanted to add that into our footer here, if I change, let's have a look at that footer so I can see it and visualize the change. As I say, front end is not my friend. I just need to visualize the change that I'm going to make. So WP Armour, and so it's stats by WP Armour dot. Okay, I'm going to put that right at the beginning, and I'm going to go to my test on here to grab it, and so I know what it was called. When that loads up, I'll grab that in a second, and I'm just going to put that right at the front of this. Oh, right, actually, I'm actually just going to output it right at the bottom of here. How am I going to get this out? An easy way without causing any issue. We just echo it out. So I need to get up to here. I don't need to do this. I want to get it from this one here to save me to write it by hand. Let's go to this one here and just grab the apply filter from there so I don't have to type it all out. Being a dyslexic, that's going to take time. So we are checking if it's activated. Is activated. Let's grab this one of these filters here. So let's grab this one here. That should be enough. I go to WP Armour, and if I just do an echo, if I just do a x equals $x equals, and then filter MainWP, and then I just put the filter that we've got on the child site, and then put the custom. That shouldn't need any that's already going to apply the prefix, so it should just pull this from the item. And then if we just do a simple echo statement for X, that should exit out into our Armour. Hopefully this works. And that is how you get your data into your admin pages. It is really simple. I'm hopeful that this is useful to people. I hope this video hasn't been a total waste of my time. It's a very long video. It's way longer than I expected it to be. But I just want to show you the reasons I feel this is useful, the reasons why I'm excited by it, and I think it's got real use, potential use, and to show you how easy and simple it was to do. And I've just ad-libbed an entire section there on adding a new variable, putting it in our report, and sticking it into a custom child page. And technically, if we wanted to add a new page, we could. I might as well finish it off there with yet another piece of ad-lib. So this copy the WP ad, copy this snippet, and what we're going to do this time around is we're going to make a new snippet. I'm going to dump this code in here. I'm going to leave this all like this. I'm going to give it a new title of test page, a new slug of test page. I'm going to get it to render test page. And I'm going to call this one test page. And I'm going to delete all of this fancy stuff and all of this fancy stuff down to here. And I'm going to get rid of the div. I'm going to move this up here. I'm going to save this. When I remove the PHP, save this. With a bit of luck, I can enable this without breaking anything. I'm going to go back to the site. I'm going to go to an extension. I knew that was going to happen. What have I forgotten? What have I forgot? I think I forgot to rename this, haven't I? Because I can't register it twice. So let's just call this test page as well and do it here. And hopefully that is what I've done wrong. So let's reload that. And there we go. That is what I've done wrong. So I'll go to dashboard sync. there should be a new page for me now of test page. I save that. I'm now going to turn the other two off just for ease. So I've just got test page running. I'm going to go to my clients, sites, not clients. I haven't got them set up as clients. Go up to child WP. We now have a test page, and we've have our output on a page. And that is how easy it is to have a page with your custom data in it. That's the whole purpose of the framework. That's the whole purpose of Sync. You've seen how I've adjusted the code there. I've taken the code that I've got and sloppily just whacked in new data. I mean, if I want to send site data from here to there, I can do that. So for example, let's say I want to now to this add a new variable. I'll copy this one here, and what we'll do here, we'll give this a new name. I'm just going to cut this in half, I think, for speed. We're now going to take it to the J, and if we change this to, we'll add a new bit of code up here actually. Variable. I hate coding live. Get blog info. Name. Okay, and we'll give that a variable. We'll send that. And as I say, that's immediately a pro report code. So what I'm going to do now is quickly grab that. I'm going to edit that pro report. When it loads up, I'll grab it and bring it over here. It's over here. I'm just going to drop this in here, put a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 underscore in it as well. I'm going to delete that. I'm going to save that. And I'm going to put a break in here, I think, so that it's done. So that's done. I'll send that via FTP. That's done. And I'm going to go over to our new test page code, which is here. And I'm going to echo out one more of these. So we're going to basically just copy this and paste it here. We're going to make this one XY. We're going to make this one XY. And we're going to make this one down to the J. And we're going to save that. And all being well, no, it doesn't crash. So we're going to sync our site. There we go. It's added it onto the end of our thing. I didn't put a break into the PHP there. And if we go to our pro reports and do the same test again, and the code appears. And again, I did nothing to make that pro report token appear. It just works. And yet that's an example where we've given, from the child site here, we've given a direct string, and we've actually pulled out a variable from the dashboard using one of the functions within WordPress. And the same would work for a function. It could be an output from a function. Your custom data can be whatever you like. In fact, in some of the examples, I've used JSON strings, and then used a JSON string on the other end to interfere with them and produce whatever's needed to be done. So you can, if you don't need it for pro reports and you need to send a large string of data, it will still work. Obviously, you don't want a load of JSON outputted into your pro report, so you would need to do something with it to if you were going to put it into a pro report. But if you need it just for a dashboard extension, you can do that. As I say, the pro report tokens are generated. You do not have to use them. They are not automatically added to your reports. They are not automatically there. They are just there to use if you want them. So I'm going to leave this video here. I'm going to thank you for watching, particularly if you got to the end of it. I've expanded on this more and more as I talked about it, because, as I said in the video, and I'm sure I've already said it, I had a few questions about what this does and why I'm creating it, and hopefully I've now explained that and showing you how to just adapt some of the code that's even here in the recipes, which are in the GitHub. They are in the GitHub. They are in the recipe files. And just quickly, while we've been talking, I've been able to adapt them live, and hopefully that gives you a little bit of motivation to have a play and make those changes yourself. And of course, there is nothing to stop you from grabbing one of these recipes, giving it to ChatGPT and telling it how you want to change it based on the instructions you've got and the data you've got. That should work. I haven't tested that, but that should work. So thank you for watching. If you like the video, if you like the project, please do like and subscribe. There'll be updates to it. As I said, I will probably record a couple of other videos just uploading these recipes and showing you how to do them. I'd love to see other people produce recipes using the framework. So if you produce a recipe, please do tag me in it. In fact, do a PR and push it to the recipes folder. I'll check it, and if it's okay, I'll add it to the release. And if people think there is use to this and having something like this in core would be great, please do ask MainWP to, because it'd be really good to get rid of the sync plugins once they're finished and have them just be core that we can call upon, and then we can all build our recipes and use our recipes without needing the base plugins. Thanks for watching. Take care.